So, during E3 2021, EA seemed to remember that they have some good gaming IPs that they've previously ruined and are now trying to fix, like a gaslighting ex-boyfriend who's like, nah, babe, I totally love Dead Space. I was just kidding with Dead Space 3 and the microtransactions. And I shut down the studio also. It's prank. It was a prank. Come on, give me a second chance. Man, I hate that company. But EA did a really nice thing this year by revealing the Dead Space remake. Initially, I was excited for this. I'm a big fan of Dead Space. I'm not normally a big horror games person, but there's something about Dead Space that really tickles my fancy for dismemberment. But as time went on, I kinda don't think the game needs to be remade. It's not really necessary. Why? When I think about the things that are required for a video game remake, Dead Space doesn't really tick any boxes that I can think of that would need a remake. It isn't marred by bad controls. The graphics are fine. They're nothing amazing, and the game definitely looks more dated now, but it's not unplayable. And above all else, the originals are actually still there on PC and Game Pass. They're still readily available. Someone can sign up for a Game Pass subscription and play Dead Space 1 to 3. They can already do it. It's not like it's, something that was only held back on the N64 or the PS1 that hasn't been ported to anything else. It's readily available if you look for it. Just saying. When I think about the things that are needed for a game to be remade, it's typically a game which is great at the time, but has aged in some respect that doesn't quite allow it to last. Normally, I'd associate the idea of remaking a game with a game that is affected by bad controls or where the graphics are a fair hindrance to the overall experience of the game. So, for example, the graphics of Final Fantasy VII Remake are leaps and bounds better than the original Final Fantasy VII, even though there is a difference in story, but I'm not going to take that into consideration here at the moment. Or, for an example on controls, the tank controls of the old Resident Evil games don't quite gel with everyone. That can be a difficult pill to swallow for people to go back and play. Those would kind of be my two main criteria for what would be needed for a remake. Those would be the essential qualities that I want to see remade. As far as I'm concerned, there's no technical reason why Dead Space would need to be remade. I mean, it all works fine. It's not like there's any section where you get stuck due to bad controls. It's not like the graphics let it down. I played the game 2-3 years ago and it's still good. It is still a good series, aside from 3. So, just some details on what we know of the game so far. It's being developed by Motive Studios, the same people who did Star Wars Squadrons, I believe. And I think they also gave some, what's the word? Development support. That's the thing. They gave some development support on some of the Battlefield games. From some small gameplay stuff we've seen, the game is very similar in terms of style. It's not like they've changed it from a third-person shooter to a first-person shooter. It's still an over-the-shoulder shooter with necromorphs, dismemberment. The zero grav sections are going to be changed, alright. They're going to basically have the Dead Space 2 and 3 version of zero grav sections, but aside from that, it's all very similar looking from the little bit we've seen so far. The little bit we've seen so far is also quite early on in development, and they want to launch the game in 2022. So with such a short amount of time until the game is released, given the state that we've seen it in, I'm kind of worried about two things. Either A, the devs are going to be crunched in order to get the game completed, or the far more likely one is that they are going to release the game in just whatever state because EA does not care about the franchise enough in order to push it back anyway. So I don't exactly have a lot of hope at its current standing. If we see some gameplay at E3 next year and it's looking tippy top, yeah, then that'll kind of subside my concerns a bit, I guess, but at the moment, I'm just very wary of EA not managing it very well. Especially given EA's history of poorly managing things. I mean, they did interfere a lot with Dead Space 3 to force in microtransactions. They then closed Visceral Games, which is a big no in my book. They're a pretty damn good studio. They were somehow surprised that Mass Effect Legendary Edition sold well. I really don't understand. They don't seem to understand like the staying power of some of their IPs. Like Mass Effect has a huge following, and they were like, "Wait a minute, we re-released this game on modern consoles as a slight graphical upgrade, huh? People wanted to buy it. Wow, huh? People like people. Did you know that people like Mass Effect? My name is EA, and I don't." Basically, they have a terrible history of all this, and I am not super excited given EA's history. Oh my god, they DLC'd the ending of Dead Space 3. I forgot about that. They sold a DLC ending. Oh. Ooh. Like, I am excited to see more Dead Space in some capacity. A remake is nice to have. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing those necromorphs at, being crushed, destroyed, burned, dismembered in all manners of resolutions. But it kind of just feels lazy as well that they just want to remake a game that's only 13 years old. Just to... I don't know if it is in the Frostbite engine. It kind of feels like it might just be a tech demo for the Frostbite engine. Possibly. I'm also kind of concerned that this might be a repeat of Visceral Games, that if the game doesn't sell well enough, that EA is going to just close down Motive Studios. I mean, they don't have a huge history of games, but a lot of people seem to love Star Wars Squadrons. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, hey, you made the good simulator game for Star Wars. Hey, come work on FIFA. That's what we do. We just close studios down and get it to work on FIFA and Battlefield. That's it. What's a Mass Effect? I don't understand why you wouldn't just take the Mass Effect Legendary Edition approach, where you just kind of, up the graphical fidelity a bit, add some new lighting, and port them and see how that goes. That seems like it might be easier. I don't know. I'm not a game dev. I can't comment on that, but when the originals are already there, it's just it's a weird move to remake the game. It's just so strange to me. I cannot get my head around it. Even the reveal trailer felt a bit like a trick to me. They were using the old Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Even the reveal trailer kind of felt a bit like a trick to me, like that they used the Dead Space rendition of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is kind of this haunting version of the song. It kind of just feels like an attempt to be like, oh, you love this, don't you? This is the thing that you love that we want to sell to you. I don't know. I'm very apprehensive on the whole thing. I'm very excited to see Dead Space come back. I really, really like Dead Space. I bought Dead Space Extraction for PS3 and played it on controller. A game that's designed for like Wiimote style controller. I'm just there using an analog stick like a goddamn junkie. I do hope it leads to a resurrection of Dead Space in some respect. I would like to see a Dead Space 4 or even a spiritual successor or something set in the universe, because I do enjoy it. It's probably my favorite horror IP. I don't know why, I'm just really drawn to it. I think it's a fascinating universe. But when the original studio is gone and EA's hive mind is just manipulating the dead corpse of the IP, I'm going to be wary of every vent that comes up, and I'm going to hold my plasma cutter out to take out the legs of anything that comes at me. Especially with EA in control. It's conflicting. And it makes me sad.